Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. I don't know if you can hear me or if you're even there, but I know we'll talk about the Princess Half Marathon Weekend here. So if you want to join us, I insist, my friends, you do, because we'll talk about running and what I wear as a shoe. Come join us here now. It will be fun as we talk about this past weekend where, yes, I did run. I don't know if anyone's watching, but I'll keep on singing. Hello, everybody. Looks like we got a few people who are hopping on right now. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Wednesday show. We also have a poll up today right now for you guys. Have you ever done a run Disney race? I have. I have not. Someday, and I refuse to run. Hey, Eric. How you doing? Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about the Princess Half Marathon Weekend, which happened this past weekend. We got pictures. We're also going to pull up maps, Google Maps, so we can go through and talk about the race course and all that other fun stuff. Also, it's been weird. I looked. So February was one of our highest viewed months for the history of the YouTube channel, and March is not starting off well at all. But it's fine. I'm not crying myself to sleep tonight. Not again. Not after last night. No. Although last night I did have a fire truck right outside my window that woke me up. But yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about the Princess Half Marathon Weekend. We'll go through at Tom's Hockey Pets. I will watch in full when we get home. Sounds good, Eric. Eric liked the video though. Just give me a little love. If you're probably gone. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube. This happens every March, I feel like, though. I feel like every March, all of a sudden, YouTube just goes and drops down drastically. There we go. We got 2 likes right now. Can we get 5? Hopefully we can get 5. But yeah, so we'll go through. We'll do the 5K, 10K, half marathon courses. All the characters that were on the course. I did meet every character on the course with the exception of one. Wait. No. With the exception of with the exception of 2, mainly due to the fact that I was running up to those characters, and then they ended up swapping things out. And we'll get to that as soon as we get to the half marathon portion of the race weekend. But let's get this party started. We are going to start the 863rd. I feel like we've done the 863rd like 7 weeks in a row. What number is this? Is this 863? I really have zero clue. Let's pull up my YouTube channel here because it doesn't show me on here. 863. I feel like we've done 863 like 10 times. 863, 863, 863. Yeah, we just got into 863. All right, let's get this party started. We're going to start the 863rd episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 863rd episode of the Wednesday show. Today is March 4th, 2026, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and talking all about this past weekend's Princess Half Marathon Weekend. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, I would like to apologize to everyone out there because this past weekend I completely forgot to do our Saturday in the park. Every single Saturday we do a live broadcast from some place found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. This past Saturday I did forget to do it, so I do apologize. But we will be back this coming up Saturday, probably from the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, to go check out everything over there. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe, put those notifications on so you don't miss out. Also, make sure you like the video. We're going to try to get to at least 5 by the end of this little monologue. Also, we do have some books out. We got a closer look at the Animal Kingdom's Dino Land USA, closer look at the Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square, Fantasyland and Frontierland as well. Those books have been popping up yet again over on Kindle. So if you've got a Kindle and you want to go purchase it over on Kindle, go download your Kindle app. It's free. The Kindle app is free. And then go purchase your book. Help it go up in sales, write a review, all that other fun stuff. And let's also take a look at our starting number for subscribers here to see where we are starting at and where we are going to. We're 9,323 subscribers, which I don't even think we were at 9,300 last Wednesday. So thank you everyone out there who has subscribed. Send a friend or two, or 677 so we can hit that 10,000 subscribers. I have figured out what crazy challenge video we are going to be doing as soon as we hit 10 subscribers. So if you want to see our big crazy challenge video, which is just absolutely ridiculous, I've been thinking about this one for years. I will attempt it as soon as we hit our 10,000 subscribers. So send a friend or two or 700 over so we hit that sometime in the near future. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals. If you're one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. Okay, so tonight we are going to be going through and talking all about this past weekend's Princess Half Marathon weekend. Now, just a quick little recap. We'll do a quick little recap because we always go through the recap. But in case we have anyone new who's watching out there, I have done many Run Disney events. I am guessing I've done probably around 200 different Run Disney races. We should actually try to figure this out at some point because people ask me, and now the more races I do, the more often I'm getting questions on Instagram and Facebook from different people who are like, how many have you actually done? And I have zero clue. I honestly have zero clue. I can tell you for a fact that my 50th medal, not my 50th race, but my 50th medal was the Castle to Chateau medal for the inaugural Run Disney race out in Disneyland Paris. And yeah, we've done a lot. I've done a lot of Run Disney races. My first ever during the Princess Half Marathon weekend, which is what this past weekend was the Princess 5K, which was back in 2014. It was right after I got off of a Disney cruise. And after I got off that cruise, the Princess Half Marathon back in those days, you could still register up until like 2-3 weeks beforehand. And they still had availability for all the races. And I said, hey, you know what? I did the Castaway Key 5K. I might as well sign up for the Princess 5K as well. So I signed up for the Princess 5K about 2 to 3 weeks beforehand in 2014. And ever since then, I have done every single 5K, 10K, and half marathon during Princess Marathon weekend, with the exception of one time and one time only. And that was just mainly due to the fact that if I had to go through and say which of these races is my favorite race weekend and which one's my least favorite probably is Princess. I still really enjoy Princess Half Marathon weekend. It's just probably my least favorite out of the, well, now it's back down to 4 race weekends that Run Disney does. They were doing 6 up until just a few weeks ago when Disneyland had to put their races on hiatus. But yeah, this is my least favorite. So I took 1 year off, and then that 1 year going through the parks was the most torturous thing I've ever done to myself because I was walking around and everyone was wearing their ribbons or their medals, and I was thinking, oh, I could have done that too. And since then, I have not missed one. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 21 was no races, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Wait. I don't know what my fingers are doing. Okay, so I did it in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 22, 23, 24, 25. And then I skipped 1 year too. So this is my 10th Princess Half Marathon. It's also my 10th Princess 10K, and it's my 11th Princess 5K. Okay, so let's get to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the structure of the weekend, starting off with the expo. So the expo was on Thursday. I went over there. I picked up my 2 bibs for the weekend. As usual, you get your 5K bib. The 5K was themed all around Merida from Brave. Obviously, everything for the Princess Half Marathon weekend is going to be themed around princesses. Who knew? And then the 10K was themed all around Moana. The half was themed around Rapunzel. And then if you did the Fairy Tale Challenge, so what it's called, yeah, Fairy Tale Challenge, then the theme was Belle. So This was going to be for doing the 10K along with the half marathon. As you can see up in the top corner here, my corral for this was E. My corral for the 5K was A. So the 5K was one of the greatest runs ever, mainly due to the fact that I just kind of had the whole course to myself. And then the other ones was a little bit of pickup. Now, if you guys have obviously been following me for quite some time when we talk about these Run Disney races, I have to go, not I have to. You don't have to do this if you do a Run Disney race, but for me, I have to try to meet every single character that's out on the course for every single race during the race weekends. It has just made the races a whole lot more entertaining in my book. It makes it a lot more enjoyable. Otherwise, it's just like running in another race that I could do anywhere else. And one of the main reasons why I do the Run Disney races is because I want unique race opportunities, including going through and meeting as many characters as possible. So as we go through here, we will go through and talk about every single character. I've got pictures of all the characters that we will flash on the screen, and we will also be going through and doing the race course. So let's get it started with the 5K. So the 5K was ran on Friday morning. All of these races they do begin at 5 o'clock in the morning, in addition to being, just absolutely ridiculously early in the morning. But our map of Disney World. Okay, we don't need this on. Okay. So all of the races are going to start up here in the Epcot parking lot. And the 5K, you start off right here in this little spot here. So this is going to be where like the little staging area is. This is going to be where before and after the races in this parking lot, you can meet characters here. In addition to meeting the characters there, they've got a DJ there. They also have it so you can do purchasing different Run Disney merchandise. You can also buy food. They also have a lot of food trucks over this way as well. But over here is going to be where your corrals are. So the corrals actually start over here, and we start by going around the corner. But before we get into that, last week, if you joined us for the Wednesday show last week, while we were in the middle of the show, that is when we found out that Jeff Galloway, running legend, Run Disney legend, unfortunately passed away. So they did actually have some very, very, very beautiful, very touching little in memoriam things for Jeff on all 3 races, which I truly appreciated, including one which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes here once we go through this entire race course. So let's go through the race course, and then we will. Do you guys want to have it so we're looking at the characters while we go through here, or should we have it so we just wait till the end? I'll let you guys decide. You guys write in the comments what you want, and then we'll start it on the 10K. 5K, we'll just go through the course, and then 10K, we can maybe go through and stop to talk about which characters were on the course. Okay, so like I said, we're going to start off here in the Epcot parking lot. You run up and you run around this entire area right here until you enter into the backstage area of Epcot. As you can see here, this is an older map. We still have, this is Guardians of the Galaxy, still under construction. This is also the old University of Energy building, all completely intact. This is also going to be where Space 220 currently sits. So Google Maps, you might want to update just a little bit. So you run around the corner here, and then you eventually make your way into the backstage over by Test Track, and you enter into the park right over here. So you go up by Mission Space, which is this Mission Space right here. Should we zoom in just a little bit more so maybe it's a little easier to see? Pass over by Mission Space, and then we go down this path right here until we enter into the central area of Epcot. As we can see here, we do have the fountain still on Google Maps, and we also have the old cool. This is actually kind of crazy. We should spend a little bit more time looking at these maps sometime in the near future. That would actually be a very fun Wednesday show. Like, this is the fountain where you could actually go to get Starbucks. This is the old. Oh, this is so cool. That's the old fountain. This is where Mouse Gear was. All this doesn't exist anymore. Kind of crazy. Okay. So anyways, we ran down the path right here down into World Showcase. And then once we got into World Showcase, we went along this way and ran all the way around the world. Yeah, we passed Mexico, and then we passed Norway, then we passed China, until eventually we crossed over into the African outpost, where we then passed through Germany, through Italy, through the American Venture, also For those people who are wondering, because I have had a few people who've asked me in recent times, which I think is a really funny question, if we have water stops along the way. Yes, they give you water stops along the way. During the 5K, this is the only water stop is here in the American Adventure. So if you ever go through and you watch my YouTube videos about the Run Disney races, specifically the ones that go through World Showcase, I have had a few people in the past who have asked me why I go through and show pretty much every single country with the exception of the American Adventure. It's mainly due to the fact that this is a water station, so I put my camera away and I drink some water because you want to hydrate during these races. We continue going through past Japan, past Morocco, and then up into the France Pavilion where we hung a right and then hung a left, and then we hung a right once again until we made our way over past the UK Pavilion and China there. And then we ran along this little path right here. Yay! After we ran along this path right here, we went past the Imagination Pavilion up towards the Land Pavilion. We hung a right, and then we entered back into the front part of the park by going this way. So this part, you go down here, here you go right here. So all of the people who are slow are here, while some of the fast people are here. During the 5K, this was me. During the 10K, this was me. And then you come up here and you run around Spaceship Earth and the fountain in the middle, and you run backstage until eventually you make your way into the parking lot up here where we finish the race. Yay! Okay, so after going through the entire run, we did get our 5K medal. Our 5K medal for this is going to be, like I said, it's Merida themed. So we did get a Merida themed medal. Also, one of the coolest things about these, all of these are like little stained glass window looks. Once we go through all of them, you can kind of see a little better. But it's really cool. Like if you put it up to the sun, it actually has it. So it's kind of like the stained glass window effect. One of the things I do love about this is the bear paw in the back, because obviously the entire film is about Merida's mom turning into a bear. And then I also like the fact that on the back here, we do have the family crest of Merida's family. Okay, so in that race, we did go through and we met every single character along the way, along with the characters after the race as well. So let's take a look at those characters. Wait a minute. Where did I go? Oh my gosh, where'd it go? I lost it. There it is. Okay. I was like, I know for a fact that I have it here. Okay, so these are going to be our characters along the way. Again, keeping with the Merida theme, we have Eleanor, aka Merida's mom, right here. So she was right before we entered past the 1 mile mark. And then over by Connections, if you look back here, this is going to be the little pathway that heads towards the central area of Future World. And over here is a path that goes into Connections Eatery. But we do have Rapunzel along with Flynn Rider here. Our next characters was going to be over in the Germany Pavilion, where we have Snow White along with the prince. Now, again, like I said, this entire weekend is themed all around princesses. So because of that, we are going to have a lot of princesses that are out. They try to have it so you can meet pretty much every single princess that Disney has at some point or another. But then they also kind of throw in a few other characters as well to kind of fit with that theme. Here we have the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. This is going to be over at the France Pavilion. I do like the stained glass window that they put up in the background there. This is going to be the little fountain that's right at the entrance of the France Pavilion there as well. Then we had Mickey. I'm going to have to zoom in for this one. We got Mickey there dressed up in his prince outfit. This is going to be found in between the UK Pavilion along with the Canada Pavilion. And then our last two characters that were on the course is Tinkerbell and Fawn from the Tinkerbell films, which is where Fawn's from, but Tinkerbell is also from the 1953 classic Peter Pan. And then after the races, you can also have 4 different character spots where you can go through and meet the characters. They always have the character that is featured on the medal at this spot. So obviously we've got Merida there. And as you can see, this is after the race, so I've got my medal on. And then they also had Cinderella. And then in addition to those two, they had Minnie Mouse in her princess outfit. And we also had Daisy Duck yet again as a princess as well. And that's going to be all the characters that were found during the 5K. Overall, 5K, lots of different characters that were out, lots of great characters that were out. Now, when I'm going through and trying to meet as many characters as possible during these races, I'm mainly trying to have it so I don't do any duplicates from one day to the next day. So my goal from day 1 to day 2 and day 1 to day 3 and et cetera, is to make sure that I'm going through and not doing any duplicate characters. So my goal is to just, if I see a character during the 5K, I'm stopping for them. And that way during the 10K or the half marathon, if I have them out there again, I do not have to stop for them yet again. All right, let's go to 10K. Now the 10K is going to start us off at the exact same spot that we started off the 5K, and so is the half marathon. So just kind of get used to this parking lot right here, because that's what you have when you're doing one of these Run Disney races. Now, during the 5K, we ran up and we ran around. In this situation, we did not do that, but we would actually do a completely different path. So this time around, we would run up on this path right here. We're going to zoom out a little bit because otherwise it's going to be very boring. And we ran around the road on this back road right here as we continued going around and around and around until we got off on this ramp right here, and we took a right and we headed again to backstage of Epcot. So this is going to be the little backstage gate. If you watch my YouTube videos about these races, I'm always like, no, we're entering backstage of Epcot. This is the gate. It's right here. So the 5K, we come through this corner, or from this road. On the 10K, we come through this road. So we yet again go up into the backstage area over by Test Track. This is going to be Test Track right here, this massive building. And this time around, it does go a little bit differently, and I really like the way that the 10K course goes. So again, we go up by Mission Space. We go over here. We had a character over here. This was going to be Minnie Mouse, who I met the day before, so I was able to skip her. And then we run through this tunnel right here, but right before we get out to this area, we actually do a U-turn, and we run back, and we run on this path right back here. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it's one of my favorite parts of this course. It's just such a unique little section to run, especially when you do a lot of Run Disney races and you're always running on the same courses all the time. It's kind of cool to do just a little bit, things a little bit differently than what you're used to. Then we came down here into the World Showcase, but instead of hanging a left, we hang a right. And we just ran around these two buildings before we continued going over here. So not a lot of things that are different, but we continued going all the way around World Showcase, past Mexico, Norway, China, Germany, Italy, American Adventure, Japan, Morocco, France, and then we ran up here. But instead of going up to the UK pavilion, instead when we got to this point right here, we took a left and headed down towards International Gateway. Now, once we got into International Gateway, we did run underneath the Skyliner, which according to Google Maps is apparently still under construction, which is really funny. And we ran up to the boardwalk area. So we ran up this path, and then we took a left right here. We will come back this way in just a little bit. So we ran on the path all the way around the boardwalk and up by the Atlantic City Dance Hall, took a left here, came up by the Swan and Dolphin, and then we ran on this boardwalk area that is found over at the Yacht Club. This is going to be the Yacht Club Resort right here, and then continued until we got over by the Beach Club, which is going to be this area right here. And right over here was like mile 4, was like right here. And then we continued going around the path until we got to this point where we took a left earlier, but instead we are running on the left-hand side of the course until we got to this little backstage area here. So we ran backstage over behind the Skyliner. We looped around, and then we looped up this way until you ran around and you got back on stage over by the UK bathrooms, which is going to be this building right here. As we would continue on, this is one of my favorite parts of my video, was the fact that there is usually a character that is right here. This time around, there was a line there, and I got really excited because I was like, oh, there's another character, and it was a line for Joffrey's, because Joffrey's apparently opened up early that day, specifically for the runners who might want some Joffrey's. We ran up by Canada, and then we continued going out and down by the path yet again that takes us up towards the front of the park. But instead of going up towards the Land Pavilion, we came down this way and we went backstage by the Imagination Pavilion. From this point, we would actually run around this massive building right here. That's going to be Soarin' right here. If you ever see those like massive buildings off in the distance that are bright blue, that's Soarin'. It's kind of like an oval shape or a weird like semicircle shape. It's Soren. All right, and then we continue to run past the land pavilion. This is going to be living with the land right here. These are going to be the additional greenhouses. So this is just a little side note because I'm a nerd. This is the start of living with the land, and then you eventually go through the area where you have like the farmer, and you go through all those different screens, and then you take a left. This is going to be that greenhouse that you go around, and then you enter into this room. This is going to be where the fish are, and then you go into the next little area, and then you go to the next area, which takes you out towards the exit of the thing. Completely side note, but hey, you know what? Educational. Okay, then we can continue going on the back row here. This right here, this massive building right here is going to be the massive aquarium for the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Also, I have pointed out fun facts before about how you can fit Spaceship Earth inside of this aquarium. And as you can see here from the overhead image, it's pretty clear that you can actually do it. Okay, we continued going around into backstage until eventually we entered back into the park over here by Moana. Again, this map is not up to date. Moana is currently right here. And we ran up on stage over here, and we looped around until eventually we'd make our way towards the front of the park. After going underneath Spaceship Earth, we would run around this outside area here and then run back over here, enter into backstage once again, and eventually we'd make our way over to the finish line. And after completing all that fun, we did get our 10K medal, which I'm still going between whether or not the 10K or the half are my favorite medals, but I think this is a really cool one. Mainly because I do love Moana. I think Moana is such a cool character. I think it's such a good movie. And also, this is a really, really cool medal. I love how it is a few different layers. We got grandmother up here, and then we have her ship is the little glass block there, and then we got Moana there as well. Then if you take a look at the back, we do have the Moana symbol with her oar going through it, which is a really cool medal in my opinion. So overall, the characters that were on course for this one were also very cool. So let's go through them. Starting off before the race, I did stop by to meet Lady Tremaine along with Anastasia and Drizella. Again, all the characters that are found before and after the race, you can go through and you can meet them before or after the race. In this situation, I met these three. We also had Moana out. Moana had a long line in the morning. She also had a long line after the race. So I did not meet Moana today. However, I did bank on the fact that you possibly could meet her during the half marathon, and we'll find out during the half marathon part if we met her or not. During the course over at the Norway Pavilion, we did have Kristoff over there. Now, one of the things that they did do during this race, which was a little bit different, it was raining pretty bad while we were waiting for the race to start. And then when the race actually started, the rain just kind of cleared up. So they were going through and they were trying to figure out exactly if we were going to have characters out on course, number one. And number two, they decided that they're going to have all the characters under ledges. So that way, if it did rain, the characters would not get wet, which makes sense because they throw us in the rain still. But over in Frozen, we did have Kristoff. Kristoff was switching out with some of the trolls. I was really hoping to meet the trolls. Unfortunately, it was Kristoff when I got there, not the trolls. Here we had Anna and Elsa. This is going to be literally right next to Kristoff. Kristoff is right over here, over my left-hand shoulder. And it was kind of cool to have it so you can meet one character and then go right to the next character without waiting in another long line. Because this line actually started over in the China Pavilion, just to give you an idea of how long this line actually was. Over in the Germany Pavilion, we were able to meet Donald Duck dressed up as a knight in shining armor, which I love this look, Donald. You're looking really good, buddy. In Italy, we had Ariel and Eric. I was getting really nervous because when we were in the line, they started to make announcements when I was about 5 minutes away from the front saying Ariel will be going away in 5 minutes. So you most likely will only be meeting Eric. And I was like, oh, please just keep the line moving. And luckily the line did keep on moving and I was able to meet both of them. And especially good because these two were not out during the half marathon. So I lucked out. Over at this is going to be the Atlantic City Dance Hall, is this building behind here. We had Fancy Nancy. Fancy Nancy was one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had during a Run Disney race. And let me explain it why after I get this drink real quick. So Fancy Nancy had a pretty short line, maybe like 15, 20 people. Most of the other lines were about 100 people deep. So pretty short line. And she went away right when I got there, and they said, oh, she'll be right back out. A few minutes passed, she's not coming out. A few more minutes passed, she's not coming out. So all of a sudden, all of us start asking the people, we're like, when's she going to come out? They're like, oh, in like 15 minutes. We're like, you never told us that. So they decided to close down her line and have her come out and have it so whoever was in line was going to be the only people to meet her before they, so the cast members just did not do a great job there. We had Isabella and Mirabelle from Encanto. This is going to be found over at where the Encanto show is. You can also tell how long we've been running for because these character lines were long. If you look behind me, it's pretty light outside. So this run did take a lot longer than it should have. This was another character line that went on forever. We have Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather here. This is going to be where Pluto usually does his meet and greets at the front of Epcot, but this line was probably about 200 people deep. No exaggeration, probably like 200 people deep. I was in it for probably about 15, 20 minutes. And in order to finish these Run Disney races and have it so you don't get swept, which means that you get pulled from the course, you need to have it so you're staying at a 16-minute mile pace from when the first person crosses the starting line. It's kind of confusing, but you need to stay above that pace for the entire time. And in this situation, these lines were pretty long that I was starting to get a little nervous, but I knew for a fact that we still had one more character after this, which we're going to get to in just a second. Also, just in case you're wondering, these are different shoes than the ones that I usually wear. I usually wear my Mickey shoes, but like I said, this race was raining beforehand, so I decided to wear my old pair, which was a terrible idea. It was the only time that my feet were kind of like, they weren't hurting, but they were not happy with me. And then our final character here is Pocahontas. The fairies are right over here. They're just a little to the left-hand side of this. She had a much shorter line, not a much shorter line, but she had a shorter line than what the three fairies had. And then after the race, I did have the opportunity to go through and meet one more character, which would be Princess Tiana. Before the race, I had Anastasia, Drusilla, and Lady Tremaine there. They also had Minnie out once again, who I already met, and they also had Moana out because it is her race. And like I said, the Moana line, by the time I finished, her line was cut off. So I was like, okay, I'm going to meet Tiana because I was positive she's going to be on the course during the half. And I was just banking on the idea that hopefully, maybe, we would have the opportunity to go through and meet Moana during the half marathon. So that was our 10K. Now, the following day would be the half marathon. The half marathon is 13.1 miles, and it is one of those races that they've tweaked enough over the last few years that I really like the course now compared to what I used to enjoy it. So it used to be a dreaded course for me. Like, I would still do it because it's Run Disney and I want to experience the entire course and I just want to have a good time. But the biggest issue that I used to have, we'll explain while we're going through, but they changed up the course a little bit. And with this change in the course, it's a lot more entertaining. All right, let's take a look at the course here. Yet again, we're going to start off in the Epcot parking lot. Ooh. Okay, so in this situation, things do go a little bit differently. So we're going to start off here, and like I said, it's 13.1 miles. We're going to go up on the road here, and over here we had our first character, which was Mulan and Shang. And then not much further up the road, we had our second character, which was right here, and that was Mother Gothel. So not that far from each other, especially having two very unique characters at the very start of the race. But you know what? We made it work. Okay, so you continue going down the road here, and you loop around the road until you're up on the upper level here. And then we ran down this way. Now, they did have Snow White and the Prince from Snow White, obviously, doing meet and greets right here. I met them during the 5K, so we were able to skip them. And then you run down onto World Drive. Now, World Drive is going to be the road that's to the Magic Kingdom parking lot. And as we've been able to see from Google Maps over our last 2 races, this might not be completely accurate up here, which is going to kind of throw us off a little bit. Yes, it's going to throw us off a lot of it, but we're going to make this work. Okay, so a little bit differently now. So let me try to explain this the best way possible. So we used to go through the Auto Plaza at the start of the race. We no longer do that. We do run through the parking lot later on in the race. But instead we do take this road right here. Now this road, it does not just go this way, but it also goes this way. And we go on this portion of the road. And I want to make sure that you're clear that it's not this portion of the road, because we're going to do that portion of the road later on. So there is this massive archway that's over here, and it goes over this road right here. Also, just in case you didn't know about the Hidden Mickey, this is where the Speedway used to be. Now it's more a parking lot. This is where the Speedway used to be, and they used to have a Mickey Mouse that was found in the very central of it. So eventually what's going to happen is you go over the road and you're on this road right here. Now this road is currently under a lot of construction, but you continue going down and up towards this area, which is where the Polynesian Tower is. Google Maps, you really need to upgrade your game here, because this is just kind of ridiculous. But we continue going up around to the Grand Floridian. Now, eventually, when we get to the Grand Floridian, we take a right onto this road right here. Wait a minute. No. We take a right onto this road right here. We enter in here, and we go up through this parking lot until eventually we run backstage here. Now, when we run backstage over here, we have a little road right here, and it takes it's not there. It opened up in 2020. But it has this bridge, and the bridge connects us over to this path right here, and this path does connect across another bridge right here, which is not in existence yet. Over here, they did have the electrical water pageant, which I think is one of the coolest little touches that they can add to the race. We also had a water stop over here, so it's not the best place to put the electrical water pageant, because you have a lot of people who are stopping and taking pictures of it on one side of the road, and then on the other side of the road, you got people stopping for drinks, and then you got people like me who are just trying to record and run, and it's just kind of chaotic. It's a lot of chaos in this little corner. I think they should put the water station up here a little bit, but that's just me. So you continue going through on the path up to the Magic Kingdom until eventually we enter into the Magic Kingdom through the train station. So after entering into the train station, we run up Main Street, USA, until you hang a left right here into Adventureland. Ooh. This is where I stop to use the bathroom every time if I'm doing the half marathon that runs up here, just because it's the first time you don't have to use a porta potty. So little running tip in case you're doing one of these races and you are afraid of where to go to the bathroom during these races. If you can hold it, you can get to the good bathrooms inside of the parks, and that's what I was trying to do. So we ran around the Magic Carpets Aladdin until eventually we made our way out of Adventureland and into Frontierland, where sadly, look at this, Tom Sawyer Island still exists. Oh, I miss you so much. We run through Adventureland until we enter into Liberty Square, and we come up towards the Tangled bathrooms. So we run through a little archway here, and we run down through the castle. It's kind of tough to see that that's the castle, but that is the castle right here. So we run through the castle, and we take this path right here until eventually we make our way across the bridge into Tomorrowland. After entering into Tomorrowland, we hang a right over by the People Mover, and then we run around this planter until we enter into the backstage area. After entering into the backstage area, we have yet another water station right over here. There's a lot of water stations off the course. And we go down underneath the little tunnel here, and we take a left and get onto this road. They will eventually dump us off over by the Contemporary parking lot. We ran along the Contemporary, or not along the Contemporary, but down the road. Also, this was one of the highlights of my race weekend too, is if you watch my video when we are running down the path right here, one of the Magic Kingdom ferry boats is crossing over here. And it was so cool. It was just like, all I could think was, if I had waited for another 30 seconds for a single character, or another 5 seconds for all the characters that I had met up to that point, I would have missed it. Or if all the character lines were 5 seconds faster, I would have missed it. So I was very grateful to be able to see that. I've seen it one other time before in my life, but it was such a cool sight to see. We continued to go down the path over this way until eventually we would take the road that goes backstage to the Ticket and Transportation Center over here, water station. So after we continue going through this backstage area, they had a little band right here. Unfortunately, the band was in between songs when I went by. That's why we don't have it on my video. But we ran over here. This is where I yell at people to, cheer on louder because they're just all sitting there waiting for their loved ones to go by. And guess what? I want to be their loved one too. So cheer for me too. We come up here and we hang a little U-turn and we enter into the parking lot. Now for this parking lot, we do follow the road right down here. We hang a right until we eventually get into this portion of the parking lot. This is where I had Gypsy the Moth from A Bug's Life. She was doing meet and greets here. But you continue running down this aisle until you hang a left and you run all the way out of the parking lot. You eventually make your way up over here. You go underneath the bridge that is currently there. It's not here on Google Maps. And we continue to go past the Speedway gas station right here. After we do that, we continue going down World Drive. Now, the way that they used to do this is you would enter into Magic Kingdom and you would exit behind Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure, depending on the year that you actually would exit backstage. And once you got to that backstage area, that was the halfway point of the entire race. And then you ran from about half a mile to 3/4 mile behind Grand Floridian along this road. So that's why you used to hate the old courses. You were just on this road forever, and now you're not on it for as long. Like there's enough twists and turns to keep your mind active and not thinking about the fact that you're just on one road for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And if you don't believe me, you're probably in to mile. Okay, as we continue going down, eventually you get to the off-ramp where we loop around the off-ramp and continue going down the road right here. So we're on this portion of the road right here. We started off on this portion. We're going this way. As we continue going down the road, we eventually make our way, you guessed it, another water station. And then we had a character meet and greet who I'm drawing a blank on who. Oh, it was Asha from Wish was doing meet and greets right here. After you met her, you can do a little loop around and then go across yet another bridge. This is going to be, there's actually like 4 hills you have to go across on this race. It's a little exhausting, but at the same time, it's okay. After you entered into the parking lot over here, we go on this side of the parking lot and then we run through the backstage area here. This is going to be the actual bus loop that drops the guest off from the Walt Disney World hotels. So we run through here and then we enter into backstage where we go over here by our final water station. And we enter onto the backstage area again over here by Coral Reef / Moana, which does not exist yet on this map. And we loop around by Communicore Hall and we just literally run across this pathway right here. It's kind of anticlimactic. After going across the little path, we get up towards Mission Space. We hang a right over by Test Track until we go backstage once again to where we started all the other races throughout the weekend. When we get over here, we come up this way and we have our final character meet and greet of the entire race is found right over here. Nope, right over here. Haha. And then we continue running backstage underneath Cosmic Rewind, which is under construction in this picture. After that, we loop around until we get back on stage and we finish up our half marathon. Yeah. Okay. That was a long walkthrough of it. But after finishing the half marathon, we get 2 medals. Number 1 medal is this medal, which I really, really like. I love Tangled. Tangled's one of my favorite Disney animated films. But here we have Rapunzel. In case you can't see it, because my aunt can see it, this is her face. This is her hair coming all around here. And then the entire thing, again, keeping with that idea of it all being kind of like stained glass windows. is the Sun from Tangled. Overall, really cool medal. For completing the 10K and the half marathon, it completed the Fairy Tale Challenge. And with the Fairy Tale Challenge, we got this amazing Belle one where the entire back part of it does look like the rose and the beast's head, which I think is a really cool little detail as well. And again, it does give us that little stained glass window feel there. So along this course, we did meet several characters. Again, I just need to take a quick drink break here. So at the start here, we do have Belle. Now during the 10K, Belle and Cinderella were switching out at one point, and I got in line when it was Belle there, and the cast member said, "Oh, it's gonna be Cinderella by the time you get there." And I met Cinderella during the 5K, so I said I can skip her. So I skipped Belle, knowing very well that she should have been at the pre-race area because one of the medals features her. In addition to that, they also had Goofy there, dressed up as a jester. So I went through and met Goofy. The other two characters that they had there was Mickey, dressed up as a prince, who I met during the 5K. And they also had Rapunzel there, who I met on course with Flynn Rider during the 5K as well. So I did skip both of those character spots. And then we went to our race. So like I said, our very first character that we had there was Mulan and Shang, both from the movie Mulan. And right after that, we had Mother Gothel. I think Mother Gothel is such a cool character to get. And I love the fact that they've got the tower in the background, just in case you post this picture on social media and people are confused on who she is. The tower kind of helps clue you in that it's Mother Gothel. Now, like I said, I did skip Moana during the 10K, and I was worried that taking that skip was going to be a risk. But luckily it paid off because she was here right at around the 1 mile mark of the half marathon. Also, I've had a few people who've commented on the fact that Moana in the video, she does say, "Hey, I remember you from yesterday." And her and I actually talked for a little bit longer than I want characters to talk to me during the race because I want to just keep on going. And it was very nice of her. But I think the only reason she said that she remembers me from the day before is because I'm wearing a 10K shirt with her face on it. So I don't think she actually recognized me. I think it's literally just because of the shirt. Okay, up towards the entrance of the Magic Kingdom Auto Plaza, we had Judy Hopps from Zootopia / Zootopia 2. And then entering into Magic Kingdom, so between Judy Hopps and these characters right here, every character from in between those two areas I had met already during the weekend, so I skipped a lot of them. But here we've got Aladdin along with Jasmine, obviously from the movie Aladdin. Also, to kind of give you an idea, a lot of people, unlike myself, I do not dress up for these races. I've dressed up one time where my friends Catherine and Chris and I dressed up as Captain America. I was Captain America. Catherine was Iron Woman, and Chris was the Hulk. And if you look in the background here, you can see like this girl is dressed up as Belle. Like people actually go all out with these characters. That's funny. I was quite impressed if she did remember. I had a few people who like wrote to me like, "It's so cool she remembered you," and I was like, I don't think she did because I didn't meet her the day before. So, but maybe she saw me. I don't know. Who knows? Moana, give me a call. No. And here we have Jessie. Jessie was found over in Frontierland. It's going to be where the DVC booth is there. This is going to be the Diamond Horseshoe right behind us there. And then this one is the only time that I missed a character during this race weekend. So let me explain how this one worked. So kind of like Kristoff and Anna and Elsa during the 10K, where they had it so you can meet one character and then you get to the next character meeting greets. That's how this one was set up. It was Elena, who was the character right here. And then after you get out of this line, you hop into a shorter line for the next characters. And when I got into this line, it was Aurora and Philip. And I was like, yes, I've not met them yet this weekend. And then right when I was in this line, I've got on my video, you can see Aurora and Philip start to leave. And I asked the cast member afterwards, I was like, are they coming back? And they're like, oh, Tiana's coming back. And I was like, I met Tiana yesterday. So I skipped that portion of the line. And I felt bad because I love Tiana. And I feel like people were like oh, this guy doesn't like Tiana. No, I love Tiana. I just had already met her, so I was focused on the race. I did not post the picture on here. I did not share it here. The picture of me, I took a selfie above on the castle, on the backside of the castle, on a ledge, not like hanging off the ledge, but just kind of hanging out there and waving at people, was the fairy godmother, Prince Charming, and Cinderella. But entering into Tomorrowland, we did have Sadness and Joy there. And then after we went up, down and up underneath that riverboat, we had Mushu. Ooh, not going to let me zoom in anymore. Hello. It's not letting me zoom in. Oh no. I lost the pictures. Pictures down. Wait a minute. Get them back up. Okay, where's Mushu? There's Mushu. Okay, and then we go back to sharing the screen with Mushu. Okay, so there we go. We got Mushu there. I was excited to see Mushu. And then here we have Gypsy. I don't think I've ever actually met Gypsy before. I really should go through and try to figure out all the characters that I met before. But she's from A Bug's Life. Apparently, she was switching out with Princess Ada. I did not meet Princess Ada. I met Gypsy, which I was more excited about because I've met Ada quite a few times throughout the years. But I think this is just such a great character outfit. All right, let's go to our next one. This is going to be over by the Speedway gas station, and this was right before mile 9, like literally right over, like behind this little backdrop area here was the mile 9 marker. And a lot of people, when I was in line, this was probably the second or third longest line that I waited in for the characters during the half marathon. This went about 0.1 miles past the 9-mile marker, and then you came back onto the other side of mile 9 and got your picture, and then went past the mile 9 marker yet again. So if you watch my video, the video where I show the mile 9 marker after Marie, that was my second time passing the mile 9 marker because I already met her. But people love Marie. She had a long line. And then we have Asha over here from the movie Wish. This is going to be right before we looped back up into the Epcot parking lot. I love Wish. I really do. I don't understand its height. But then we have Mira, the Royal Detective. This was my niece's favorite show on Disney Junior for quite some time. She dressed up as Mira for one of her Halloween costumes. So every time I see her, I get excited, mainly due to the fact that my niece absolutely loves her. And therefore, I love her. And then our final character that we had out there was Vanellope Von Schweet from Wreck-It Ralph. And I love the fact that we actually have her car back there as well that her and Ralph designed. But yeah, there are going to be all of our characters that we met during the 5K, 10K, and half marathon. Okay, so before we wrap up, if anyone has any questions out there, throw your questions in the comments. Otherwise, you guys can rest in peace with your questions. Also, we're one like away from 10 likes. So if you've not liked the video yet, make sure you give this video a like. Have you ever seen anyone famous during race weekends? Yes. So we had Sean Astin, who is famous from many things, but we'll list him up. He's Mikey from the Goonies. He is Rudy from Rudy. He is Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, and the second Lord of the Rings, and the third Lord of the Rings. And then he's also the brother, Doug, from 50 First Dates. And he's been in a lot of different things. But he did about a year and a half where he was doing every single Run Disney race, like I'm doing every Run Disney race. And when I was going through and doing one of the Run Disney races, he was next to me running. And I yelled at him, Goonies never say die. And he gave me a thumbs up and kept on running. And then the very next week, literally 1 week later, so it was the Wine and Dine half marathons when I did that. The very next week was the Avengers, Star Wars? Avengers. It was the Avengers half marathon out in Disneyland. And during the expo, they actually had him up there doing like a little panel. And they were talking to him and they said, what are types of things that people yell out to you as encouragement along the way? And he said sometimes people yell out things like, come on, Sam, you can do it. Or Rudy, Rudy, Rudy. He's like, but the one I get more than anything is Goonies never say die. And they're like, do you ever get sick of it? He's like, a little bit, but I can tell it makes people happy. And all I could think was, that was me last week. I yelled at him. But yeah, there have been quite a few famous people who have done Run Disney races, and usually they don't announce that they're doing the race until after the race, because there is a tracking app, so you can go through and you can track anyone if you want to. So I always track myself, and I always track anyone else who I'm running with. Oh, I should bring that up too, because I had a few people who messaged me, but we didn't talk about it today. So this was the first race weekend that I ran alone. Like, all my friends gone. So my friend Frank usually does all the races with me. He unfortunately couldn't make it. My friend Catherine has been doing a lot of the races. She couldn't make it. My friend Randy, we've started getting her into it. She couldn't make it. And then someone else I knew who was supposed to go, they got injured. Another person I knew who was supposed to go, they got injured. So it was like it was a weird race weekend. Like, I didn't have a bad time, but it was also just kind of weird because, like, after the races, it's kind of fun to sit around and like talk about, like, hey, remember this part of the course? I remember this part of the course. And I had no one to do that with this time. It was kind of weird. It was a weird race weekend for that reason. But overall, still a great time. Princess is still my least favorite of all the race weekends. I don't hate it. I just don't love it as much as I love the other 3 races that they've got here at Disney World. If I had to recommend one to do, Wine and Dine. If you're new to a half marathon, the Wine and Dine course is a great course. Plus, it comes with a party ticket. So after the race, that Sunday night, then they also have a party at Epcot for everyone who did the half marathon. So it's a really cool thing to do. In addition to that, I think Springtime Surprise might be my second favorite. And then Marathon Weekend. I don't know. I love Marathon Weekend, though. I love all 4 weekends. I just know for a fact that Princess is my least favorite. And then the other 3 do kind of interchange. Sometimes they all take the number 1 spot at one point or another. But it looks like we might not have any more questions out there. So we're going to be wrapping this bad boy up right here. As always, tonight's episode is sponsored by Patreon Pals. If you're one of our Patreon Pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. As always, thank you everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme. And like I said, YouTube, the hits are not doing very well this week or this month, March, the 4th day in, and we are flailing a little bit on YouTube compared to what we were doing in April or in February, where we're just killing it. So if you want to go through and watch a video or 2 or 17 just to give us a few more views, I would greatly appreciate it. We're getting closer and closer to our 10,000 subscriber as well. So send a friend or 2 over. And of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Oh, and this is weird. My end stream just disappeared. Oh, there it is. It's up there. I was like, what's going on? Everything's moving around. Bye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I can't stand this kind of pressure.